Ashley here at Covington, showing you how to perform some simple maintenance on your Covington Deluxe Tumbler today. First thing we want to do is take our barrel, remove our barrel from our base, just like so. And you can see that my shaft right here needs to be greased. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double check my washer on my tumbler barrel. And it's still here. It looks good. It's got some good thickness on it still. I don't need to replace it. I'm going to take my white lithium grease, which you can pick up at your local hardware store, and I am going to cover this shaft in this lithium grease. This is going to make sure that the tumbler barrel has a nice long life and that it doesn't wear the casting away. Once I have my tumbler shaft grease, I have two places that I want to check on my base for grease as well. The first place, I'm going to just add a little more right here where my wear washer is going to be sitting on the tumbler. And then I'm going to flip it over. And on the bottom side here, you can see there's this area that has grease where the shaft has been previously. I'm going to add a little bit there just to make sure that we have a nice amount of grease for this tumbling process. The last place that I want you to check before we start using our tumbler is going to be this little shaft right here. On this shaft, there are grease bearings that need to be greased occasionally. I'm going to just loosen my shaft collar here, just enough to remove it from the shaft and double check that there's grease on my washer, my bearing. So this bearing, I'm going to add a little bit of grease. The lithium grease is a nice grease to use because it's white and it shows up quite easily. It's easy to see. If you use a red grease or a clear grease, you can't always see visually when it's worn away. And so it's nice to just have the visual of the white lithium. I'm going to replace this steel collar. The important thing here is when you are tightening it down, you want to make sure that the shaft is snug but not too tight for it to roll. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to gently remove my V-belt. And I'm just going to double check that this shaft rolls freely in this hole in the bearing. And I'm also going to double check that it doesn't move back and forth. We don't want it to move back and forth. We want it to be in there snug, but we want it to move freely. Once I have double checked that, I'm going to make sure my steel collar is nice and tight. And then I'm going to just replace my V-belt. I like to slide it over the top one here and then gently use my fingers to roll it on around. After that, we can now put our grease shaft into the tumbler base. The most important thing here is you want the edge of this barrel sitting on this knurled shaft right here. You don't want it sitting up on top of the belt guard. It will not work properly if you do that. It won't rotate. So you need to just make sure when you are putting the shaft in that it sits in there and it seats on this shaft right here. That's going to allow the barrel to rotate properly. You can see there's a gap here. It should not be touching the belt guard up here. It should just be sitting on the knurled shaft. Now that I've got it in there, I'm going to turn it on, make sure it's running. Sounds good, looks good. All right, very nice. So the last thing I want to do, you can see there's a little bit of a mess left in here from the last time. I'm just going to wipe it out. And then our tumbler is going to be ready to use.